Welcome to the Value the Markets podcast. Today's guest is James Campbell, a non-executive director of SEFA Gems, listed in London with the ticker SEFA. SEFA is a precious stone explorer with assets across 4 permit areas in Israel. The firm has just renewed its prospecting license and plans to start trial mining next year. SEFA is developing a mine-to-market strategy and earlier this year released a range of jewellery designed by Yossi Harari. Hi, James. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning, Stuart. Lovely to chat to you.
It's a real pleasure. For listeners not aware then of the SEFA Gems story, please can you give us an overview of your assets?
Absolutely, Stuart. I think your summary at the very beginning was absolutely spot on. SEFA Gems was listed on the London Stock Exchange, the main board, in December 2017, and it has a mine-to-market strategy designed to commercialize a unique suite of gemstones whose primary origin is in Mount Carmel in the land of Israel and whose secondary source is the adjacent Kishon Mid-Reach deposit. Now, unusually for this kind of company, considerable exploration and development work has already been done, and trial mining, as you mentioned at the beginning, is in the planning phase. We've also undertaken successful test marketing with the world-renowned jeweler Yossi Harari, who developed the stunning Heaven on Earth collection. Maybe if I just give a little bit more detail about the Kishon Mid-Reach project itself. This project is about 4.5 kilometers long and 150-meter wide placer deposit draining from Mount Carmel, where the gemstone suite has been concentrated into a number of trap sites. We've already recovered well over 10,000 carats of this unique gemstone suite, and these include diamond, moissanite, Carmel sapphire, sapphire, ruby, hibonite, ilmenite, garnet, and spinel. So it is really a diverse suite of gemstones, and in fact, Carmel sapphire is a unique mineral, and it's also been trademarked too to this particular site in Israel.
Excellent. Well, as you mentioned, you're opting to deploy a mine-to-market strategy. How significant is this retail element to SEFA, and what are your plans to develop this further?
Stuart, it may not be a commonly known fact, but the majority of the profit pool in the diamond and the gemstone industry is allocated at each end of the business itself. Much of it in the mining end and much of it in the retail end, where there's little kind of profitability in the middle. And therefore, SEFA Gems plans to capture both ends of this profit pool, and especially benefiting from the significant premium attached to selling gems from the Holy Land itself. As we mentioned in the introduction, significant test marketing has already been done under the Heaven on Earth collection, which showcased this unique gem box assemblage. But we are also looking very much at a multi-market approach due to the rareness and exclusivity of these precious stones. And great care is being taken in this design so we can capture both ends of this profit pool, being in the mining and in the retail segment itself.
Superb. It sounds like a very logical way of approaching it. You commissioned and received a technical economic evaluation report for the Kishon Mid-Reach mine earlier in the year. Can you run through the key numbers for the project and how buoyant is the market for gems at the moment?
No, absolutely, Stuart. If I briefly touch on the technology which we'll be deploying in the mining and the processing, it's a fairly simple strip, load and haul operation, importantly rehabilitating as we're going along. And then from a processing perspective, it's scrubbing, screening, concentration followed by hand sorting, and importantly from an environmental perspective, no chemicals are used. So using this technology as a basis for mining and processing, we determined an 11-year life of mine to process 1.5 million tons of gravel at a rate of 50 tons per hour. However, this processing rate can be readily doubled at minimal investment, which will put the mine at the lower end of the cost curve, being $10 to $15 per ton. And moving on to the market itself, the global gemstone market. The global gemstone market is roughly $22 billion in size and is expected to grow at a compound asset growth rate of approximately 5% over the next 10 years. Interestingly, prices have significantly increased by 100% over the last decade. This kind of price increase is also reflected in coloured and special diamonds. So the world seems to really like coloured stones at the moment.
Excellent. Well, on Thursday, you announced you've received a renewal of your prospecting licence. What are the remaining steps towards obtaining a mining licence?
Stuart, there are a number of different steps, and most jurisdictions have a fairly common process to arrive at a mining or a trial mining licence. What is quite unique in this particular aspect is that Israel does not have a long history of mining. The first step, which was vital, which we announced on Thursday, was the receipt of a discovery certificate from the Inspector of Mines. This will allow the company to apply and to receive from the Israel Land Authority planning permission for submitting a trial mining plan. In this trial mining plan is an environmental impact assessment, which will require consultation and then approval. And once that has been done, then the trial mining plan, or the statutory plan, as it's called in Israel, will be approved.
Super. So assuming everything runs, within a reasonable timescale, when do you anticipate the mine will be operational?
Stuart, we're targeting round about mid-2020, but as you all know from many of companies such as this, I do have to give the caveats that it's dependent on regulatory approval, as I've just mentioned now, and of course funding to develop the infrastructure required for mining.
So to summarise then, what news flow should investors look out for over the coming months?
I think, Stuart, there are four major areas of news flow which we'll announce over the course of the next 3 to 12 months. The first one is the exploration results from Zone 2 of the Kishon Midreach. This will basically expand the area in which we can mine once we actually commence mining in Zone 1. Clearly, there'll be milestones in the regulatory permission to deliver the trial mine, and we'll announce each of these, particularly with regard to the environmental impact assessment. Thirdly, upgrades to the plant and mining structure to enable mining to take place. And then fourthly, and very importantly, development of additional marketing channels which underscore the unique assemblage of precious stones in the land of Israel.
Lots to look forward to. I look forward to following progress, and I hope we can speak again very soon, James. Thanks very much for your time today.
I hope so too, Stuart. It's been lovely chatting. Thank you.
Thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Value the Markets podcast with today's guest, James Campbell, Non-Executive Director of Shefa Gems. Until the next time, take care.